Okay, we're right to go. It's Toby from Heavyweight MMA today with the Turkish delight, Shannon Ross. How are you, man?
I'm really good, thanks, Toby. How are you, brother?
Good, good. So, man, ahead of your big fight coming up, UFC 284, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel great. Obviously, every camp we're trying to adapt and get better and be smarter and do things a better way. This camp, I'm obviously been lucky enough to not have to work 40 hours on top of all the training. So I think that's paying dividends at the moment on how I'm feeling and how I'm performing. So yeah, great.
Awesome, man. So how much time have you had off from work?
So I finished working back up in would be the start of November. So the last 2-3 months has been full focus on training, and the first time I've been a professional athlete in my whole fight career. So yeah, it's actually paying dividends, and I'm feeling real good and healthy and sharp. And yeah, it's good just to worry about one profession at the time.
That's it, man. Is that just like taking a break, or you actually decided to go full time?
No, so it's funny how it sort of worked out. We obviously we got the contract with the UFC after the Contender Series fight, and then I went back to work and I was working, and then my boss, he ended up deciding that he didn't want to run a big business anymore and started descaling, and he wanted to shut it down. And I thought, if this was the time I ever don't work, it's probably right now when the world's made these calls for me. So yeah, so that was why it happened. Otherwise, I probably would have still been working and training on top. So it sort of all happened for a reason.
That's it, man. You got a young family though, right? So does that add any stress into it, man, that you don't have the same sort of income coming in as normal?
Yeah, it definitely does. Yeah, I've got a young family, got four kids, and obviously a
Wow.
mortgage, and got to feed them. And yeah, it is definitely stressful, but we're sort of, me and my wife are working ways around it and making sure we're smart with the financial aspects, and yeah, just sort of just plodding along. And obviously winning is making that little sacrifice now, and winning doubles your pay. And obviously the way I fight, I'm looking for bonuses. So yeah, come Feb 12th, that's the end goal, and get paid, and then maybe take some part-time work after the fight, and in fight camps fully not working. But yeah, we're still sort of navigating all those aspects now.
Yeah, man. I mean, you got to take the opportunity when it's there, right? And it's right in
100%.
front of you, man. So now's the time to throw it all in.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's it, man. So you normally train at CMBT in Burleigh with Steve Elliott Compton, right?
Yeah, so the Comptons have their gym up in Brizzy there, but yeah, they have done a lot of work down at Combat with us guys. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, and but recently I was over in Australia and I was actually at the gym at the Windang Freestyle MMA gym, and you were there
Yeah,
actually training
yeah,
with some of the boys,
yeah,
which is kind of funny coincidence.
yeah. I was obviously with the no work sort of thing, how it all sort of unraveled. I was lucky enough to get down there for about 4 weeks and get some work in with the freestyle team and Joe and Alex and all the top level guys they have there, and see how they do it. And yeah, I would have loved to get back down there after Christmas with the family, but it was just the way things worked out. It set me up perfectly up here to finish my camp, and yeah, it was awesome being down there.
Yeah, when I was there, you were doing some sort of like Shark Tank with Justin Van Heerden and Jarrett Wilbraham, man. So you were looking like you were getting beat down a bit just from the constant change of partners and that, man. So that's the sort of build up you need for a big fight, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like no one man is ever going to push you as hard as two or three or four fresh guys in the rounds. And obviously those boys are a little bit heavier than me, a bit bigger, and they're obviously technically sound as well. So that extra added pressure is like, you got to feel that before the fight. If it's the first time you feel it in the fight, it's probably not going to be great for you. So it's good feeling it early and adapting and learning to overcome that. And yeah, obviously in the fight, push through any adversities. And yeah.
Yeah, man. And something I was listening to a couple of your podcasts and that, and watching a couple of your fights beforehand, and I heard you say that your father's from Cyprus.
Yeah, correct. Yep, my
Yeah.
my old man, he's from Turkey, from Cyprus, and obviously that's where the bit of the Turkish delight name comes from. I sort of got stitched up by my coach. I never had a fight name when I started, and then he sort of just told the MC, call him that, and then it sort of stuck. We thought, yeah, it's funny, it's a bit different. We'll keep it, and that's what it's been forever now. So yeah.
Yeah. No, it's kind of cool, man, because my company actually has a leg over there in Cyprus. I've been over there for a look before. Have you spent
Awesome.
much time over there?
I've never been, man. I'm still yet to travel there and to visit it, but I will definitely be. It's definitely on the cards. It's definitely on the list of goals and places to visit in the near future. So maybe even the UFC heads back over that way and we get a fight or something over there. So that'll be cool.
Yeah, man, it'd be worth having a look. I mean, especially if you got some roots there, bro. And I don't know if you got family there or not, but it's kind of interesting place to go. You know, it's a bit of a sleepy, slow sort of European city, but it's got some beautiful sort of water and that around it. So yeah, it's nice. Yeah, bro. So looking at talking about MMA and talking about the difficulties of you know, working out how to do it, to commit and leave your job and all that sort of thing. You've had some pretty crazy experiences. Yeah, just saying it's a triumph over adversity, bro. Like getting through like all the difficulties with your visas, you're losing your passport in transit, then finally getting over there, feeling a bit of stomach pain and fighting, and then afterwards realizing you actually fought with appendicitis, man. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so it was a pretty crazy sort of 10 days before the fight and 10 days after the fight, and obviously even earlier having the visa sort of denied and then having to go through some stuff to get an emergency one and all that sort of the resilience I've built over the years of just having to slug it out and obviously working full time and training and competing at the top of the local scene is I think that's what got me through, is just that character and that resilience to just not stop and persevere to where I wanted to get to and obviously fight on that big stage. So yeah, just hard work and staying true to myself. Yeah,
man, looking forward to seeing you at 100%, because that obviously your body wouldn't have been operating at 100%, bro, because like, you know, you appendicitis, your body's going to be shutting down in a way, man, you know, but you still managed to perform to a very good level that, you know, you were noticed by Dana White and he's given you the contract.
Yeah, exactly. So like that instills a fair bit of confidence in me this time around, right? Like knowing I can go out there and perform the way I did in the condition I was in gives me massive confidence to know that going into this fight healthy on home soil without the visa issues and the passport issues and the travel logistics and all that extra stuff on top, just, yeah, it sets me up really well to know that I can go perform how I believe I can and how I should, and sets me up really good for this debut.
That's it, man. It's an amazing card, UFC 284, man. Like some great Aussies and a couple of Kiwis on the card, so it's going to be a brilliant show to be part of, right?
Yeah, 100%. I've been telling people sort of the last few months, like this is sort of like your wife's wedding. Everything's perfect. Like the dress is perfect, the hair is perfect. Like for me, it's like the perfect debut at home, on home soil with my Australian fans. Like less travel with the who's who of Australian, New Zealand fighters, like 2 title fights. Obviously, Alex fighting for the lightweight title. It's like all eyes are on this card, and it's massive for me to be able to debut on this. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. So in UFC, there's no easy fights, unfortunately. You're against a decent opponent, Kleydson Rodrigues. He looks pretty sharp, man, like pretty strong, athletic, you know, explosive sort of fighter. How do you feel about this opponent?
Yeah, I'm super, super pumped. Obviously, like you said, it doesn't really, there are no easy fights in the UFC. It doesn't matter what division you're in. Everyone's obviously, they're hungry and they're well skilled and they want to perform. So that's cool. I think this matchup, the UFC is very smart in how they match fights and how they think they'll plan out for the fans and the excitement each fight will bring in. I think they've lined this one up perfectly to be a cracker and get the fans out of their seats and get them excited right before the pay-per-view card kicks off. Yeah.
Did you take anything from his fight with CJ Vergara? That guy seemed to put quite a bit of pressure on him, and you mentioned that you like to put pressure on your opponent. So just assuming that will be part of your game plan to move forward and, you know, land that right hand.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, watching CJ the way he took the fight. If you watch his fight on Contender Series, his opponent didn't give him any pressure. So Kleydson was on the front foot all the time, and he was throwing those kicks, and he was at his range and his sort of where he likes to be. CJ did the total opposite, took that space away, took the kicking range off, and sort of pressured him into these positions where he didn't really like that. And you sort of got to see him slow down a bit in the second and third because of that backwards pressure. So, yes, definitely that's the way I fight anyway. It's definitely going to be a part of the game we implement, definitely. And yeah, sort of drowning with that forward pressure and taking the pressure away and putting it back on, and definitely using that as an advantage, I think. Yep.
So what's your prediction for your win in the fight, man?
Well, I'm not Conor McGregor, but I would like to say I come out of there with a finish in the second or third. I think it's with the game plan we have implemented and a lot of the strategic stuff we got in place. I think, yeah, the second, obviously everyone fights pretty hard in the first round, and obviously the second and third is where I think I'll run away with it with my with the pressure and the cardio, and yeah, take him into deep water and sort of put him away from there.
Yeah, man. In that last fight that you had, I was against Salvador. I was just thinking that right hand, when you land that right hand, it sort of reminded me of the same sort of sound as Gaethje, you know, when he throws those massive hands around.
Yeah,
so hope you can drop one of them on him.
Yeah, man, definitely. Like, obviously that fight I got caught early, and sort of the first round I was on autopilot. You just fight it on natural instinct, and then yeah, the second round I thought I was really running away with that and making some good progress to finishing him and putting him away. And obviously the way I fight, and in my own head I was sort of, I'm down round one, I need to take this round two definitely and try to put him away. And when you fight like that, there's very little room for error, and with that long reach that he had and just being on the end of those punches where I should have been out a little bit more, sort of paid off for him. But yeah, going into this one healthy and being a bit more cerebral and smarter, and I think we can, yeah, definitely land those right hands and make those sounds. I don't know if you'll hear the same noise with the crowd there, but yeah, it'll be phenomenal.
That's it, man. Hey, on that, he kind of hit with a right, was it a right sort of hook? It was like a hooking sort of punch that he threw, right? It's kind of slightly unusual, that the one that he landed at the end.
Yeah, definitely. So he's a southpaw, but the dude's, he's got like a massive reach. I think he's got like the same reach as like a welterweight, so like 74 inches. And obviously the second, after being hurt in the first round, he jumped in through that weird sort of flying knee straight into a hook, which caught me as well. So he was very unorthodox and very strange with the punches and sort of stuff he put together. But yeah, it was that weird sort of right shovel hook that he landed in that second that ended up doing the damage and putting me away. But yeah, who knows where I was at with how the condition I was in. But yeah, this one we go in healthy and we go in fit and smart and strong and get to show the world what's up.
You mentioned that you're on sort of autopilot. So how clear were you, man? Like, that was a pretty serious knockdown, the first one. I guess the second one too, but the first one was looked like the most sort of debilitating. Were you there, or was it just like you don't remember it? It was just fighting and
yeah, the rest of the first round, you're sort of just fighting off natural instinct, sort of what you've trained in the room, like you're seeing when you were down in Wingdang, like that pressure fighting when you have fresh guys coming in, and what you do naturally under distress and pressure. So that was like the rest of the first round. In the round break, I actually recovered really, really good, and I felt really fresh going back out into the second round. And obviously I felt like majority of that round I was running away with it, and I was landing the cleanest shots, and I wasn't getting hit with those weird sort of weird shots he was throwing, and I was getting in and out of range properly. And yeah, it felt really good in the second round. And then obviously with that length he had, it's you slip when you should have dipped, and you don't pull all the way out when you should have. It's a small space for making a mistake. So yeah.
Yeah, man, your style of throwing down and that's pretty full on, man. I'm not sure how intense you do in training. When I watched you guys at Freestyle, it was a bit it was pretty controlled, so there wasn't that sort of head contact. But do you have any concerns about CTE and that sort of stuff for the future, or haven't thrown yourself into the fire like that?
Nah, not really, man. I try to be very smart out of the fight, so I'm not taking any damage in camp and in training and in the gym where you're trying to become the best you, so you can actually lay it on the line in the fight. So yeah, try to take as little damage as I can outside of the ring. And if I need to get into those firefights in the ring, that's where it's going to happen, because that's where we get paid, obviously. So everything outside the fight is very controlled and very specific, and try to be very smart with, definitely health and head health. And I've got kids, so I don't want to be 5 years down the track and not be able to chat to them properly and talk. And so that's a very big thing that's on the front of my mind for sure.
Yeah, man. Hey, listen to your to the podcast and that I did, and I didn't see anything about your history. Could you just quickly explain how did you get into the sport, and the sort of quick overview of the journey?
Yeah, quick overview. Obviously there's 6 boys in my family, and I've got 1 sister as well. So big family, lots of kids. 6 boys. You're always fighting and wrestling, and you're carrying on with each other, and 2 against 1 and 3 against 2 and all that sort of stuff growing up. So we were always up to mischief, fighting and carrying on. But I played footy for a lot of my younger years, and then when I got to about 20, I kept getting sort of injured and sort of shoulder injuries and stuff like that. Just obviously the size discrepancy when you're playing football. I was about 65 kilos, and you're tackling dudes that are 120, and it wasn't good for me. And then I went to a gym. I started training, probably trained for about 6 months, and the coach said, "Hey mate, I've got a fight for you next weekend." I said, "Oh, I don't want to fight." And he said, "Oh, you have to leave the gym then." And I was like, "Well, that's a little bit of a strange sort of ultimatum." And he said, "Oh, if you have the fight and you don't like it, you can stay and train. But if you do, we'll see where we go next." And then, I took him up on it. I had the fight, and I ended up winning second round TKO. And I was like, "Oh, that's my new sport. I get to fight these guys my own size." And obviously, football, you're tackling big dudes. And when it was someone my own size, it seemed very, very fitting for me to dive into that sport. And that's where it all kicked off. And obviously stayed consistent over the last 12, 13 years, and now we're at the big league.
Yeah, man. It's a funny thing. It's a funny thing. Like when I was finishing high school and that, I'm a tall, skinny sort of dude, and I used to always want to be bigger and that, for sport or whatever. And then I found fighting and that as well, like stand up. And then you come to appreciate your size, because you get to fight slimmer sort of people, same weight. So it's a good thing, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's as soon as I started feeling like, I can spar, I can wrestle, and I can grapple with these guys that are 65 kilos as well, it was like a new world for me. It was like, this is easy, because for so long you train with bigger guys, and then someone your own size, it's all cruisy then. Yeah.
That's it, man. Hey, another thing I wanted to mention. So you mentioned that you took up Pilates, bro. It's interesting. Did you wear a pink leotard when you're doing it, or?
I actually didn't, but we got some Pilates in. So that was one of my post-surgery sort of rehab stuff. Did a good Pilates block just to strengthen all up that lower abdominal section of their stomach where they cut through, and fix all that up, because obviously what can happen after that surgery is you can get what do they call them? Not hernias. Yeah, exactly. So you can push hernias out through where they've cut through the incisions in the abdominal wall. So it was massive for us to strengthen all that back up before we got wrestling and got lifting weights and all that sort of thing. So Pilates is actually quite hard if you've never done it. It's a good workout, and it's definitely hard, man. I was quite surprised when I started doing it.
Yeah, bro. I'll leave it to you, bro. Hey, what's in an ideal world? What's your future this year, 2023, and into the future, bro?
Yeah, ideal world is obviously stay busy this year. Definitely get 3 fights in. Obviously, this one in Feb lines us up good for a mid-year event, and then a back end of the year event. So that'd be massive to be able to put 3 fights together in a year, which I haven't done for a while with the COVID and all the sort of stuff in between. So that'd be cool. Ideally, climb those rankings as fast as possible, perform, put on shows for the fans like I always do, and collect some bonuses so we can focus on fighting and training, and not having the stress of the financial thing laying over your head. So that's the big things at the moment. And then obviously if we can rack out 3 fights and 3 wins this year, look at that top 10 sort of moving forward into the 2024 year.
Nice, man. Sounds good. Hey, we haven't talked before, so I wanted to ask you a couple of quick questions, general sort of questions.
Yep.
just being an MMA fighter, you know, you're kind of master of your own body and do a lot of training and that. So I just wanted to know your tips for training and motivation for, you know, your general folk that, you know, maybe struggle to get into the gym sometimes or to do activities. How do you stay motivated?
Yeah, definitely. It's obviously having 4 kids as well. My time is I value my time massively. So to spend time away from them in the gym is a big thing. But yeah, they're staying disciplined, staying consistent is a massive thing. It's harder to get going than it is to keep going. That's what I like to try to tell people. Like if you stop, you have weeks off. It's harder to get back going and getting the ship rolling again and moving. And yeah, it totally depends on what you want and how much you want from your training and life. And I also think it's a massive health benefit in just being able to have your own hour or 2 hours each day where you train and forget about the rest of the world as a mental break. You're not worrying about finances or home life or relationships. You're worrying about the guy in front of you trying to punch you or trying to submit you or that sort of thing. So I think in a mental aspect, it's massive for your health. And yeah, definitely if you can stay consistent, it's great for you. Yep.
Yeah, man, it's interesting, the combat sort of thing, whether it's grappling or MMA or stand-up, like during that time when you're doing any sort of active sparring-related stuff, there's no chance you can think of anything else really because you're just thinking of the moment, right, of how to defend yourself and how to attack and whatever. So I love that from the combat sports, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Like you can't be sparring a good guy and be thinking about the argument you had with work or your wife, or we all have sort of things outside in the outside world. But while you're sparring, while you're wrestling, grappling, you 100% focus exactly what's happening in front of you. So after it, you always get those good endorphins and that good release of energy, and you usually go home a much better person than what you would have if you didn't train. So
That's it, man.
definitely a good thing.
Cool, man. All right, man. So very much looking forward to the show, UFC 284, Perth, Sunday 12th, bro. Very much looking forward to seeing you come out. Interested in what your Aussie song is that you mentioned you're going to play.
Yeah.
And yeah, looking forward to seeing you perform at your best, bro. So yeah, thanks for your time and best of luck.
Yeah, awesome, Toby. Thanks for having me on, mate. Thanks for the platform and letting me share a little bit about myself. And yeah, appreciate your time too.
Cool. Thanks, bro.